Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, joined on this fine, Monday afternoon by Harrison Fagan of SB Nation and all of that good stuff. Harrison, nothing else really going on today, right?
No, I mean, MLK Day is always a big day for the NBA. So there's
That's true, that's
I
true.
mean, we're missing out on. I think the Grizzlies are playing right now. Yeah, it's with Grizzlies and Wolves, and then Detroit and Houston. So we are counter programming against some NBA games, but I think other than that, I mean, it's not like Lakers fans are going to be locked in on anything else. So
I can't honestly think of anything else. I don't know why my branding and all of this stuff was reset overnight on StreamYard. StreamYard, stop messing with my show. Just once. Just leave it alone. Today we are going to be talking about the Lakers in the most macro sense that we could possibly discuss this team. I want to ask whether or not Harrison actually thinks the Lakers can viably win a championship this year, if everything goes right, or to what extent they need margin for error there. And then if we don't think that they can, if we think they can, then cool. Like, stay the course and see how this thing goes. If we don't think so, which, spoiler alert, at least in my regard, I don't necessarily see it. If not, then what's the point of the season? What is the goal of the season? So, we'll talk about all of that stuff. And then right before we went live, I was talking to Harrison about where I see all of this going and how I don't know, I think I'm just kind of done talking about the Lakers to a certain extent.
Good thing you announced on your Lakers podcast. I always
yeah. I'm not going anywhere right now, but the reason why I think is of note, and I do think that there's a lot of people who kind of feel not that they want to stop talking about the Lakers in a professional forum, but they're just kind of done with this iteration of the Lakers organization and how that reflects on the way that the organization is being run. But let's start though with that central question up there at the top. Can the Lakers win a championship, Harrison? Is that a viable possibility here? Not puncher's chance. No, do you think that is in the cards in any realistic way here?
Well, that's a very different question than can they. In any realistic way, no. I mean, no, I don't think so. I mean, realistic, yeah, I mean that modifier is doing a lot of work there. So, I mean, is it realistic that, they trade, I think they have 1 or 2 seconds left for Walker Kessler somehow because the price on him goes way down, and then they're also able to use that first, and Brooklyn sends them Cam Johnson, and I don't even know if they can make actually they can't, because Kessler makes nothing, so they could probably make the salaries work on that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it's even then, that's just a puncher's chance. That's not you look at that team and you're like, oh wow, shoe in, they got this, they're gonna win the West, they're gonna beat whoever comes out of the East. I think when I thought the question was just going to be, can the Lakers win a championship, my answer was going to be anything's possible. It's
but that's the point though, right? If we're sitting here saying
not
crazier
to
things have
scar
happened
too many
twice.
Late 2000s Lakers fans like myself, but as the great Kevin Garnett once said, anything is possible.
Right. He said that after beating the Lakers in the finals, which makes that every time I see that would be such a cooler clip. Well, no, it wouldn't be, because it would still be
it's a good clip in retrospect, because it's you realize he's talking about he won a championship with Doc Rivers coaching the team. It's that does mean that anything is possible,
Yeah. I'm with you in terms of is it realistic? No. Is it technically possible? I guess, because anything can happen. But like, all right, since that's the starting point here,
Got a
and
bright and
welcome
cheery
everybody
show
to
for you all today.
it's like really gloomy. Like here, we're getting ready. We're like battening down the hatches. It's supposed to like snow and sleet overnight. And I'm gonna be stuck in my house with my family for 24 hours and vice versa. Like they if because this is my thing, right? Like we've been watching this movie for like 3 years, basically, where they traded Russell Westbrook. Or even if you want to go back to
Two, if you're yeah.
I would say the last time they tried to win a championship, the last move they made with a championship squarely in mind was trading for Russell Westbrook, right?
I don't know that that's fair. I think when they traded him away, I mean, they did make the Western Conference Finals. They got swept, but like that move put them, if you make the Western Conference Finals, then you are, by definition, like contending for a championship. You could say it's like, hey, it's closer to, Dame and the Blazers a couple of years ago when they got swept by the Golden State Warriors, and it's like, yeah, they made the conference finals, but like had no realistic shot. And you could say the same thing about the Lakers, but I mean, like they were like a Nikola Jokic ankle turn away from the finals.
Yeah, but then I don't know if they would have beaten whoever was waiting for them.
I mean,
I
they
guess
beat the Heat
Miami.
once.
Yeah, I guess it would have. They probably would have beaten.
I'm just saying. I'm
No.
not saying it was the most likely scenario in retrospect. Obviously, that Nuggets team was way better than them. But
Yeah.
I don't know that that's fair to say that Russ was the last one made with the championship in mind. When trading him, they clearly tried to get back players that they thought could help them win right now.
But they also like had a mind towards
I'm not saying
the
they
future
succeeded,
there, right?
but they tried.
But that like if the point was maximizing the return and winning a championship right then and there, then the trade would have been for Miles Turner and Buddy Hield before, or it would have been for Mike Conley even, instead of D'Angelo Russell, right? Like Russell Westbrook was a commitment to LeBron James and to Anthony Davis and to winning a championship during their window with nothing else in mind, right? And ever since then, everything that they've done has been with like at least a glance towards, what comes after those guys,
Rob's making
and
the call from a middle school where he's scouting future talent. He's calling in the trade from there.
right. So like I don't know. I believe firmly that if you aren't solely focused on one thing, you aren't going to accomplish anything in the NBA, right? Like if you're focused on tearing things down and heading towards a rebuild, that's how you succeed in rebuilding. If you're focused on winning a championship and making all of the moves to optimize your window right now, that's how you win a championship. That's how you win right now. But every single team that has convinced themselves through some tech bro talk that no, they can somehow do both, right? Whether it's the Golden State Warriors and their light years, turning into blight years, or now you hear it from Rob Pelinka talking about the same stuff. Neither of those organizations are actually accomplishing anything right now. All we're watching,
Anthony, they want sustained Lakers excellence. I would like them to let me know when the excellence starts.
Yeah, right. Like, what's the starting
to sustain it? Like, when does the excellence start? That then we're trying to sustain because it's not this year,
Right. Well, it wasn't last year.
Yeah,
and frankly, it wasn't really the year before either.
Like you could say a lot of things about these Lakers teams the last couple of years, but excellent has not been one of them. Okay, above average,
right?
But like sustained Lakers, above average is not like that. Doesn't have the same, Rob Pelinka tech bro jargon.
Yeah.
CEO.
Well, it's funny because like they actually learned this lesson from the get. Like at the beginning of Rob Pelinka's like tenure as sole decision maker, the first thing he did was commit to LeBron James and to by getting Anthony Davis, and they went all in on that season, and they won a bleeping championship, right? Like it's just
And to be fair, they tried to keep it going the next year, and it seemed like they, again, like if we are in a world where like if Marc Gasol doesn't catch COVID, do the Lakers win the title that year? Like, I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, shit, dude, they were kicking Phoenix's ass before AD went down that same year, despite Marc Gasol getting sick.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, but those other guys, like, they had to carry a heavier burden because Marc Gasol was out, and like, and then like there was the LeBron. Like, if Solomon Hill doesn't undercut LeBron, do the Lakers win the title that year?
Right. Well, but that's the thing, though, is that like they gave themselves that margin to win.
It was it was ironically
they were probably
the move that you're saying is the last one that they did with just the title in mind. That's the one that basically destroyed, like almost like single-handedly eliminated their chances at a title because it was so hard to come back from.
Yeah. Well, it was so off the mark.
Yeah.
Right. It was such a detrimental decision. It was just poor instincts all around.
It was like a Russell Westbrook corner three, in a Lakers jersey. Like
in a Lakers jersey, not for Denver this year, because he's actually been good at those.
No, I mean, Jokic, I'm convinced you could put you and me on the team with Jokic, and he would have us averaging like 5 points a game,
Right. So
like passes are just so good that you can't help but make the shot, It's just he's like Bullseye from Daredevil. He's like bouncing it off his shooters into the basket. That's how good he is.
Actually, based on how hard Russ's hands were as a Laker, I don't think this is impossible.
he's like a superhero. It's just, like
Russ is standing there in the corner with his arms tied behind his back, and he's just like
Jokic just bounces it off his head for three.
Right.
It's just...
he's like, and it. I'm surprised LeBron didn't think of that. Who's GOAT there, right? But yeah, okay. So, what is the point? Like, what is the point of this season? If like, because that's what we've been asking. I feel like we've been sitting here in neutral basically since the Russ trade, and it's like, what is the point? What are the Lakers accomplishing? They don't have they didn't develop Darvin Ham as a coach. They fired him. They drafted Jalen Hood-Schifino and they gave up on him within a year. They now have JJ Redick and surrounded him by one of the worst coaching staffs in the NBA. So like, what is being accomplished? What is everybody trying to do? Like, why should we be watching these people stumble through this nonsense like year after year after year after year? Which gets to like the latter part that we're going to get to later. But yeah, what's the goal?
I mean, I was going to say, I feel like we've been having some version of this show for the last like several times I've been on, because it's like, I mean, the real answer is Rob doesn't want to get fired. Jeannie wants to sell tickets. They want to protect, their vision of the future and not be totally like barren in the future, and sort of put together, like a product that will sell tickets and is that they can claim they are going for a title right now, like it doesn't have to actually be in title contention. They just can claim it is sort of the important part. But, I mean, it's like, to some degree, it also doesn't matter what you or I think when LeBron is making it clear about, like, as far as the championship contention question. I don't know. I didn't listen to the show with you and Raj from last night, so I don't know if these comments came out, and you guys got to address them on the show or not. But yeah, so like, I mean, if you have LeBron out here saying, from I'm reading Jovan's tweets, your favorite Lakers insider, I believe, right now, or did Dan pass him again?
No. Dan doesn't respond, Dan, I saw him in San Antonio, gave him shit about his DMs, and then haven't heard from him since. So Jovan squarely in the lead.
Okay. Well, anyway, our chosen Lakers insider of this show said, LeBron James on if there are any ways the Lakers can give themselves more margin for error. Nah, that's how our team is constructed. We don't have room for error, for much error. When asked of a follow-up about the mental demands of trying to play at that high of a level nightly. Okay, so again, this is a question that is not about roster construction. No, like the follow-up, not about roster construction at all. Okay.
LeBron, how's the weather?
Says, we don't have a choice. I mean, that's the way our team is constructed. and we have to play close to perfect basketball. And this again comes on the heels of him being on Mr. Taylor Swift's podcast and saying we're not the team that we're going to be in February and March, which some people took as like, he's saying a trade is coming. I think with these comments we can more say he's trying to he's trying to channel his LeVar Ball and speak it into existence, because he knows they're not good enough if he's saying stuff like this. And again, it's like it's an annual tradition. It's LeBron.
Yeah, it is indeed late January.
LeBron takes passive aggressive shots at the front office. They eventually either cave and make some moves, and everybody just sort of like tries. They have like a it gets leaked that Rich Paul met with Jeannie Buss and everything's good now.
Yeah. The reason I'm a little scatterbrained, I was really hoping he would leave the division, but the Chicago Bears are hiring Ben Johnson as their head coach. He's the OC for the offensive coordinator for the Lions, who has been just spectacular at designing a run-first offense. And I was really hoping he would go. I really wanted him to go somewhere else. I like the NFC North is already difficult enough as it is. I don't want Caleb Williams to get his shit together. Not that it mattered because we all lost in the first round, but still, good Lord.
I 100% know who all of these people are.
I know. I'm just ranting and raving at this point. I may as well be talking to Raj about Quentin Tarantino.
You think Raj knows who Quentin Tarantino is? I feel like there's probably a 70% chance he does not.
Raj is going to be like Quentin Tarantino NBA comp.
It's like Phil Jackson, like limited.
Yeah.
Like you can it leaves his imprint on a team. You can always tell it's a Phil Jackson product, and limited coaching seasons, but almost always high quality.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think Tarantino's the GOAT though. Phil's the GOAT. So
no, he's not the GOAT, but it's like pretty much every single one.
He
of his
has
movies is like super watchable.
Argument though, like his like biggest supporters think he's the GOAT for sure. Yeah.
I would disagree, but I'm just saying if we're going.
I like Tarantino enough, but I don't think he's the GOAT. I did. You didn't hear? I guess you didn't listen to the show yesterday. Raj called the Lakers boring.
I saw that headline. I have not listened to the show yet because I haven't gone for my walk today. But I did. I saw that.
But that's like it's all kind of part of the same point, right? It's the same meal. You ever? Well, you're not the person to ask this. Well, I guess you have a little bit better palate now. But like, you ever eat a meal and it's all like it's all kind of tastes the same. There's no real texture. There's nothing really exciting about the meal. It like feeds you, and then you finish the meal and you're like, all right, that was indeed food. I am now like satiated. But you're not like happy about the experience of eating that, right? Does that?
But enough about Mia's cooking.
I could see Mia being a good cook.
She actually is a good cook. Yeah, she doesn't think so, but I actually think she's great.
I could see Mia being a really good cook, despite having to work with vegetarian recipes. I could see her making that work.
It forces her to get creative, but yeah, she's actually good. Please don't make me sleep on the couch, babe. I'm sorry.
But isn't that what basically watching the Lakers has been? Like today, I was just kind of like on the road. The kids love McDonald's, so I got a couple of those little hamburgers that they have, and it's like they were indeed sustenance, but it wasn't good. I don't look forward to it. I kind of regret it now because I've been on this diet, and every time I eat fast food while I'm on this diet, it just makes me feel awful. But like, I don't know. They keep on saying that the point of every J1, like eating saltine crackers, though they have like texture at least. But like the Lakers, though, they keep on saying it's title or bust, it's title or bust, it's title or bust. So if you go into a season with bust as like your end game every year, then what are we all watching for? Like what is the goal? Like I keep on coming back to that question. And it's like, is the goal just remaining employed? Is that something we should actually be hoping for? Because I'm not anymore. I'm good on this stuff.
And at some point, it's like it becomes a pointless sort of dichotomy, because it's like you're busting every year. And so, it's just like it stops being about the title part.
Right. It's just its existence.
Yeah.
You know? Like
It's like, I mean, theoretically, isn't that's just, if you want to take this to its logical extreme, that's every NBA team is title or bust every year. Either you win the title or you do not.
no,
That's
you
not a
don't.
goal. Like, it's
Right. But like what are they going like
And like,
we
can you
look back.
imagine, like, just to take it back to like this sort of like arbitrary dichotomy that this like a binary choice that they force upon themselves of like, we are not going to make a trade and touch the future unless it's going to win us a title now. Like, look at the Thunder right now. Do you think that Sam Presti made every single trade that led them to this point by being like, I think this move
This
gets
doesn't
us
win us a championship,
this
so I'm
move
not gonna
this
make
move
it.
doesn't win us a championship. So I don't know that I'm going to acquire Chris Paul and have him mentor Shea and get them to the playoffs and get these young guys some
Yeah.
experience.
Great point.
Like I'm not going to draft Chet Holmgren even though he's hurt because, like I don't know, that doesn't get us closer to a title this year.
Right. And it's just like what did they accomplish last year, Harrison?
The Lakers?
Yeah, what did the Lakers accomplish last year?
I don't know, like probably a lot of merch sales.
Like, isn't it like crazy that like what was last time? I would say, all right, they trade the year that they traded Russell Westbrook, they accomplished trading Russell Westbrook, and they got to the Western Conference Finals, winning a couple playoff series.
I know this is not a fan base that puts up banners for the Western Conference Finals, but like that is a real like you got somewhere. We have to value.
Yeah.
I think the title or bust thing like it does devalue like the experience of fandom
Progress.
a little bit, where it's like
It
that was fun.
devalues
That was a
progress.
fun playoff run. It ended horribly, but that was much better than this season and the season before in terms of like watchability and how much fun it was.
So, yeah, what would you say should be the goal then this year? What should they be looking to accomplish this season?
Well, for me, it's title or bust. And so I think no, I mean, I think this year the goal should be a title this year. This is probably again, it's like for the fourth or fifth year running, it's like this is probably the best year remaining that you're going to get from LeBron and AD because it turns out like time
it's been true every time.
And bodies are a finite resource where like they're going to probably get a little worse every year. We've seen it with LeBron. There's been a little bit of slippage finally. And like AD is not going to sort of be able to play at this level forever either, especially at his size. And like he's a guy that I don't expect to age incredibly, and so it's like you're going to get this is probably the best year that you have left of these two guys, just like last year was a better year than this from those two guys, and they just sat on their hands all year and wasted it. And so it's like, are you going to waste it this year, or are you going to be like for real and either go all in and try to get someone that you feel helps you win a title, or if you really feel like there's no move on the table that helps you win a title, then you should be blowing this up. You should be getting assets for Anthony Davis. You should be, like they're not going to trade LeBron. LeBron has a no trade clause anyway, but you should work with him and see if you can find him a place where he wants to go, where he can compete and try and get some assets back. Like if you're this committed to the rebuild in the future, then commit to the rebuild in the future.
Right. Do something.
Yeah.
Or at least like, all right, talk to LeBron and tell him, hey, if you want to retire here, you're welcome to retire here. But our goal, our priorities now has shifted from winning a championship while you're here to developing younger guys, drafting younger guys, and moving forward that way. Because there would be value in having LeBron if he is going to there are very few people that like you could better learn from than LeBron James if that is something that he's interested in doing. I don't think he is, but if you say, hey man, you really, really love
LA. I don't
LA.
think he's interested in saying that that's what he wants, but are we sure that's not what he's interested? He does not seem like a guy that is, like he's going to do the agitation and he wants them to improve and sort of like give themselves a better chance. But like, is he really going to leave LA? Like, I kind of doubt it.
No. Like
Yeah.
Everybody I've ever
So
spoken
it's
to
like
is
he
like,
would
no,
say,
he
"Oh, I
loves
don't want
LA.
to be a
He's
men."
like,
If you asked him publicly, "Do you want to just be a mentor?" As the team sort of rebuilds and whatever. Of course, he would say no. But
yeah.
like, what would he actually do? And my guess is probably stay and mentor Bronny and the young
Well, that's
guys
what the
and
Lakers are
play
kind of
out this
taking
year and then
advantage of.
retire. Yeah,
Like the Lakers are kind of using that, they're using that leverage to be able to run out the clock. And it's like,
yeah.
okay, fine. You want to run out the clock. You want to do um whatever it is, whether that's focusing on now or focusing on the future, okay, fine. But do so with a purpose. Like don't do so, like everything that they're doing right now is so haphazard. And honestly, like I know people kind of think that I fly off the handles, and I do, but like I know people think I fly off the handles on smaller dumb things like the retirement
You do.
ceremonies and the statues and the way that they treated Jerry West passing and all that stuff. Like everything that the
I mean, the
Lakers
jersey
do,
thing at the retirement at the Michael Cooper thing, like that was legitimately embarrassing.
it is
It's like
all of it
there's
should
got
be
to be
embarrassing.
almost all of it is. But I mean, like that, like it's like I understand that people are like, oh, this isn't in the grand scheme of things a huge deal, but it should be embarrassing.
Yeah, well, I mean, dude,
Like
they're
that's not
gonna
preventing them. That's not them not checking those jerseys before handing them all out is not like why they're not winning a title. But it is like, again, it's like they always say that they want to, sustain Lakers excellence. And we want to, like we want to be seen as a first class franchise and a real home for players and whatever. You know how you don't make them feel that? You hand out jerseys that are falling apart on their jersey retirement night.
right. Well, I think it's all
It's
exemplary
just like a
of
dumb,
like larger
unforced error.
issues. Like there's just like there's no focus here, and there's no like accountability when stuff like that goes poorly. Harrison, what do we have
Well,
to go
Anthony,
back to?
I've been told that Linda Rambis is taking care of everything and making sure that everyone has a first class experience, and that like Tim Harris is like the only man capable of protecting the Lakers brand. And
Yeah,
so,
all of that good stuff.
I
But
think the brain trust they've got all this stuff on. I mean, again, there are players that have said nice things about these people, so they're bulletproof. And anyone criticizing Jeannie Buss's inner circle is just a
fake
lunatic.
news.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we would probably have to go back to Powell's jersey retirement ceremony to find something that went off without a hitch, right?
And are we sure
I,
Powell didn't just like check every jersey himself? Like he's that nice of a guy. I
he
wouldn't
is
be surprised.
he's
He's
just
just like,
volunteered. He's like
yeah,
made sure everything is fine.
he's like, oh,
Because like
I want to make sure that the fans have a nice night. Let me just check and make sure that all of these are good to go.
yeah, well, because the reason
It'll
I
only
asked is
take me
because like
16 hours.
Kobe's statue unveiling, they had the typo on it.
Several,
They had
several typos.
several typos, yeah.
Jose Calderson, Lakers legend.
they, they turned him from like first to second generation immigrant. Like but like yeah, I'm thinking back on like and all of this is to say that like those problems you don't do you think there were typos on Dirk Nowitzki's statue? I know Dwayne Wade's entire face was a typo.
Yeah, I
so
was gonna
maybe
say I don't
shouldn't
know if
hold them up, but you look
there's a
at like
pretty
that's
big one on the Dwayne Wade statue, in that they used Mr. Clean's head for it. Unfortunately,
that's stuck in the sun. It happens. It's
Yeah.
Miami, man. It's hot. Stuff melts.
yeah, that melts the metal before it's unveiled. That's how
Did
hot
I
it
tell
is.
you my theory on that? Like I came up with this theory on Passport with Lee that because like Wade left Miami the first time, and I think that out of spite in that moment that Wade left the way that he left, Pat Riley decided, all right, fine, you're getting a shitty statue. You're getting a statue, but it's gonna be bad.
It's like Pat wins again. nobody gets one over on me.
Never beat Pat in any of these situations. So yeah, I don't know. I'm finding it really difficult, right? Because and to bring back up the conversation we were having before we went live, like I'm finding it really difficult now to talk about this team because it's just so boring. It's just so meh. And I think it all starts at the very top because it's a stale product. and the leadership is very stale. They haven't had any kind of a change in meaningful positions. Yeah, you've fired two head coaches and you've seen the impact that that didn't have on the organization. We haven't seen any change in Rob Pelinka's front office. We haven't seen them invest in a pro scouting department. We haven't seen, Janie bring in somebody with more NBA wherewithal than uh, you know, Linda and Kurt and Tim. Like, who's the forward thinking person in the front office? Everybody there is hired because of past relationships, right? And so, like, I find this whole thing, until they sell, like, it's a very difficult team to really care about, because the same problems are going to be there until Jeannie wakes up and actually realizes that these people that she surrounded herself with are nothing but sycophants who don't know what they're doing. And I just like we're gonna keep on going season to season to season to season. That is bereft of any accomplishment. And by the way, this is all happening. I had somebody tell me, I won't say who, but I had somebody tell me there is nothing the NBA owners want less than for Jeannie to sell. You know how sad that is? that like that
Well, it's
like
just
other
because
owners.
she's so great at the owners meetings, right?
Yeah,
Like
right.
they
Yeah,
miss her.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But everybody else is like, this is a sleeping giant. The Lakers organization and the Lakers brand is a sleeping giant. And if somebody ever gets there with deeper pockets or an understanding on how to run a professional organization or any of these things, that all of a sudden you're looking at what we've seen from the Dodgers, right? The Dodgers were this like brand that the McCourt family was literally stealing money from. And they were just like this sad has been organization. And then they got sold and they got purchased by Mark Walter and Guggenheim, and they invested all of the stuff into, they brought in Stan Kasten, who's also a part owner, but they went out and got Andrew Friedman, who kept the Tampa Bay Rays competitive with the Yankees and the Red Sox. And then he went out and he filled out his front office. At one point, the guy who built the Braves to where they are right now, and they are still a top tier organization in the sport. Alex Anthopoulos, he was working with Andrew Friedman before. They had Farhan Zaidi, who was a disaster in San Francisco, but while he was with the Lakers, was considered and is still
Dodgers.
considered, huh?
Dodgers.
Yeah, definitely not the Lakers. But like you won't get somebody in the front office named Farhan Zaidi with the Lakers organization. That won't happen. But but yeah, like he was considered this great baseball mind, and the Giants ownership is also a mess. So he went there and he kind of struggled. But the point here is that like they and then when they hired their manager, Dave Roberts, they interviewed something like 13 people before they landed on Dave Roberts, and he wound up being probably the best manager in the sport right now.
Not according to my timeline every year during the MLB season when
yeah. Well, finally he kind of like made up like it's people like can't like wrap their brains around how random baseball can be. Now, like Bruce Bochy is really damn good. He might actually be the GOAT. But like Dave Roberts is at least a top 3 coach in baseball. And like that happened through good process and a long process, a long thoughtful process that involved talking to more people than just JJ Redick and the UConn coach. Like it just
are we just not naming him? We're so annoyed with that reporting saga. We're just he's the new Byron. We can't.
Have you gotten all right? Have you gotten a little enjoyment out of how bad UConn has been this year?
It's a little bit.
A little bit. A little bit. Every time he's there, like freaking out on the sideline.
You think Woj is texting him? I told you so.
I hope so. Yeah, I that's all. Like, it was a long way of saying, if you and I can't identify what the goal is to this season and weren't able to last year either after the deadline, then like that's a problem, I think.
I would not say that we can't identify the goal. I would say that we don't like what the actual goal seems to be, which is the goal.
But would they acknowledge that goal?
No, of course not. But like, if you're looking at this again, like just logically and somewhat cynically, I'll admit, it's the goal is to put a credible product on the floor to sell tickets. It's like, circling back to the whole like it's time to commit to the rebuild and that kind of thing rant. The reason they're not going to do that is because again, like, and circling back to your comment on like the Lakers being a sleeping giant and the Buss family's mismanagement and like how cheap and focused on the business they can be and but maximizing tiny profit margins and whatever is like, this is their primary thing. This is their primary source of income. It's not a toy to them. And so, why they're not going to go like sell off their win now players for assets and, go all in on a rebuild? It's because, like that would mean that you're selling less jerseys and that you're selling less concession stands and that you're
You can't
maybe
sell
selling less
LeBron's
tickets.
jersey when he's no longer on the Lakers. Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably selling the same amount of season tickets just because people don't want to lose those. But like the single game tickets, you're certainly not going to be. And, the prices on those are probably going to drop. And all of that stuff makes a real impact on the bottom line for them. It's like that's a less nice vacation for some of the Buss siblings. And then do they sort of switch their allegiances and try to like vote their way out of this? It's, all of this stuff these are real economic considerations to them. This is not Jeff Bezos buying the team as a toy,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's really quickly get to some of the starred comments here, or a couple of these starred comments, and then get you out of here, Harrison, which means we get to play this one. J1, can we rebuild? Only 25 and 27, top 4 protected. Those are the only 2 picks gone as it stands right now. I think is that right? There's no way that's right.
I would have to look.
It sounds right, and is the case like the reason the Lakers only have so many picks to
27 27 is protected, and 25 is out the door because the Pelicans, but we're betting on the Lakers being worse this year.
Yeah.
So this year there really is sort of no point in tank. Like the only benefit to like going in the tank this year is that you're getting stuff for some of these guys who may not have as much value, next year, whose contracts may be expiring or whatever.
I don't know.
It's not like you get a better draft pick. It's like, that draft pick's going to the Pelicans regardless.
Yeah. But I don't know that
that's already gone. That's not a reason to dictate your decision making. You can't go back and undo that.
Right. I don't think they have anybody who would be like significantly less valuable next year than this year. And I'm not including LeBron in these conversations because he has a no trade clause anyway.
Yeah, and he would have to want to leave. I mean, maybe AD, but maybe not, because you could say the contract's shorter, but it's also like that's less commitment for the team if he doesn't age as well.
Right. I think he'll age okay.
The fact that the jumper is basically gone has me worried. Yeah, no, I don't think he's going to turn into that where he just like can't play. I just don't know that he's going to be as effective as his athleticism wanes.
Yeah. No, that's probably true. He needs to learn to shoot better. Next one here, also from J1. What's a good landing spot for Anthony Davis? Trade this season or next season? If I'm trading Anthony Davis, it would be next year. I wouldn't move him this year.
I would, depending on what the offers were.
Yeah. Is there anybody
like OKC offers up a bunch of picks to have the greatest center rotation in NBA history,
It would be funny to trade him to Atlanta to get their 25 pick back.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's going to the Pelicans traded it.
Yeah, because they traded.
I forgot that.
For Murray.
But the Pelicans deferred it. Is what I meant. Yeah, but the pick's out the door.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess
that would be so Pelicans if they had this year from hell, and then it turned out the Lakers went in the tank and actually like gave up like a lottery pick, and then it was going to the Hawks for DeJounte Murray.
Like after all of this,
yeah,
they gave it up, and then
the best pick in the trade ends up being to Atlanta.
Right. Yeah, I think I would hold off on trading AD because like then there's really no point to the season, because then like even the losing that you do is even more pointless because you don't have a pick. But
It's only if you think that you can get more assets for him now because he has longer left under contract and because the team gets a full half season to go chase a title with him now as well, which is a real thing. It's like, hey, are you going to give up extra for this?
yeah, I
Again,
wonder if he.
I don't want it. Like, this doesn't make me happy to have this discussion. I
Yeah.
just like, I don't think that they're going anywhere. And so, it's probably worth trying to get what you can and rebuild, sort of like, I mean, not exactly like the Nets did in the 2010s, because you have more of your own picks moving forward than that. But, like, it's less about, hey, we're tanking to get the best possible draft pick. It's more like we have players that other teams will want.
Yeah.
And if they're willing to give us a bunch of assets for them, that's how you build up that treasure chest to then build the next era of Lakers basketball, to do the next AD trade, when
So
a star wants to come here.
this returns me back to my point, though, which I think is, now even more important talking about the hypothetical of trading Anthony Davis. You can always do that. Eventually, Max Christie will be worth a first rounder. Eventually, like Austin Reeves next year on this contract, if you decide to tear it down, would be worth of a first
Easily.
rounder.
Yeah.
Like all of these guys, like I would rather, like, you could. My point is that, like, all right, let's say the Lakers commit both of their first rounders to giving LeBron and AD one final go at it this year, and then it doesn't work out. One, I would respect it. I'd say, you know what, I would respect that a hell of a lot more than this treadmill that they've found themselves on right now. And two, all right, if that doesn't work out and you decide after the season, LeBron and AD, like you sit in a room and you say, all right, guys, we gave it a go. We gave you guys everything that we could last year, and it still wasn't enough. Let's talk about exit strategies here. LeBron says, okay, let's see what we can get from Golden State. And you can have some of their young guys, some of their picks, and I can go and try to win a championship with Steph. And then AD says you could send, and then you decide you could send AD wherever he wants to go. Say it's Chicago, which I would imagine is in his plans anyway at some point in his career. And then you go out and get some stuff from Chicago, and they would be thrilled because he would help make them mediocre. And that can all happen after you make a run at it,
Or
while
AD
those
just
two
ends up
guys are
on like
in their
ends
prime.
up on Pelicans East in that scenario. But I guess at
Yeah.
least it's in its hometown.
Yeah. But like, you know what I'm saying though? Like this notion that, like, gosh, we have to hold on to these picks because
It's
what are
also
you going
funny
to do
that he
about
would
the
be getting
rebuild moving
traded.
forward? It's like you're fucked in
One of
the rebuild anyway, unless you trade those guys. So, like, just compete with them.
It would also be very funny that he's getting traded to one of the only owners like cheaper on the margins than the Lakers. It's like, AD, are you sure?
Dude, he would have gone from Gail Benson,
Oh my
who went
God.
to Genie.
Can you imagine AD's career with like a rich owner? It's just
Like if Steve Ballmer
one
was,
time.
yeah. Yeah. All right. Oh, we got one more here. Ryan Lucas saying if they don't trade, this season's a wash again. I don't even know
Yeah.
if it's a wash. Like it, because a wash
Treadmill,
implies that, like, it's like you come out even. I think both of these last couple
wasting
seasons have
time.
been huge disappointments.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like, you've heard the term treadmill of mediocrity. And like, I think this is more like what the Lakers, if I can coin something, is this is almost like a treadmill of unaccountability, where it's just like everyone is just trying to, they're just at the job that they hate and they're trying to keep it going for as long as they can. And, it's like, hey, I'm just going to sort of do whatever it takes to not get fired.
So in this instance, is it Jeannie Buss who's sending out that tweet? Accidentally made myself important at work and now I hate it. Like she won the coup and she's like, this is the worst.
It's like, everybody's mad at me now. It turns out when I'm just like sitting courtside and saying that my brother's an idiot, you're like
way more popular. By the way, she wasn't wrong. Jim, also an idiot.
Again, it's the thing, I don't know much about football, but I know that no one's ever more popular than the backup quarterback. And
Absolutely.
she was the backup, she was the backup plan. She was always there. It's like nice and shiny. It's like, oh man, imagine, if she ever takes over for Jim, she'll be great. And, I mean, she didn't win the Lakers title, so.
We'll always have that title. Now move on. Right? Thank you for the
She's better.
championship. Now
She
go
won.
away.
She out-cooed Jim twice,
Yeah.
and she won a title. You did it. Okay, there's nothing left to achieve.
Right. Just like sell like enough that Guggenheim can take over, and then just like reap the rewards. It's right there. Your out is right there, and they're interested. All right, let's go ahead and
Magic Johnson back in the front office.
No, he wouldn't. I don't think. No way. Harrison, you just made this so much worse.
I'm just saying, with the Dodgers, he's willing to stay out of the.
I had that one thing that I could hold on to.
With the Dodgers, he's willing to just
like,
show up at the signing and point at his jersey that he signed and be like, "Here's how many titles I won. You know, check this out." With the Dodgers,
that was
he's willing
insane. I don't think enough people made fun of that.
Photos of all time. There's so many good ones, and it's one of the best. Up there with like when LL Cool J is doing the Instagram live and he keeps moving and Magic keeps moving to stay in the background. Just that time he posed with the guy who had a Magic Johnson quote tattooed on his rib cage and pointed at it. It's just, there's so many good Magic Johnson photos, but that's up there with all of them. And it's like, do you really think that if he's part of that ownership group, that he's going to completely stay out of the way? Or did we just get a new Kurt Rambis?
Harrison, you just ruined the one thing I could look forward to as a Lakers fan. You just completely wrecked it. I don't want Magic Johnson back. He treated Zubats for Muscala.
Well, audience, it's been nice knowing you. I think I'm about to get banned from the show for life.
Ever. We're not friends anymore. All right. That's going to do it.
The thing about having a diagnosed anxiety disorder, Anthony. You can
find
always think of ways that things can be worse. You know, it's just.
It was like I was talking to.
It's like the monkey's paw thing. You finally get everything you want. You get the rich owner. You know, you're like, okay, this is everything I wanted, and then it's like, okay, but Magic Shadow GM.
Dang it, son of a bitch. Maybe they'll just find some project for him. Like he can run social media. Maybe he can run the Lakers social media. It wouldn't be any more boring than it is right now.
Imagine the Lakers account just tweeting like, "Wow, great dunk from LeBron." My close personal friend Anthony Davis just made a wonderful block on that play, but it's like the next day they tweet out.
Yeah,
you know, it's like,
right.
They don't post recaps on the site anymore. It's just like the Lakers lost last night, and if they want to win, they will have to play better.
They need to score more points than their other team. Yeah.
I hope that's the job I want him on. That Magic was born to do, you know, the social media job.
Yeah, I agree. And so
just dictate his tweets to someone else that's making like 20K a year to follow him around and just tweet out his thoughts, you know?
Yeah. All right. I got to go. I just heard my son calling me. He's supposed to be for his nap for another 2 hours. So I don't know what I have waiting for me on the other side of this door. Thank you, Harrison, for hopping on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. A quick reminder, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And then if you guys are listening to the show in the morning via podcast, hit subscribe wherever it is that you get your podcast, preferably on Odyssey, because I'm a company man. The plan, let's see, the Lakers play Wednesday, so Raj and I will be back Wednesday, and then I'll do mailbag Thursday.
Anthony, I have some news for you. The Lakers play tomorrow, Tuesday, against
what's
the
today?
Washington
Oh,
Wizards.
shoot, today's Monday. No, so yeah. So I'll be doing the mailbag on Wednesday, and then I'll try to get a guest for Thursday unless the Lakers play, which they might. They might play on Thursday.
Well, we know who it's not going to be. A member.
No, they do play. They play the Celtics.
Who you called idiots at the start of the show.
What'd I say?
We know who the guest is not going to be. A member of the assistant coaching staff who you basically called the worst in the NBA at the start of the show.
It's one of the worst. Yeah. You know.
Well, we know where Anthony's sources aren't, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. On that note, please call me back. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye, everyone.